I have two main takeaways from A Charlie Brown Christmas. The first is that I just can't believe I'd never seen this film before. It was released in 1965. It's referenced in so many other Christmas films, but I'd never seen it. I finally decided to watch it. We'll ignore the fact that it's currently only May, and I absolutely adored it. The other takeaway is that this really could have benefited me many, many times, because I find a bit of a kindred spirit in Charlie Brown here, and particularly the way he feels the dark cloud that shrouds his mind around Christmas. That's something that I have experienced many times, thankfully not over the last few Christmases, and I know a lot of other people also struggle. If you struggle with depression, Christmas is often a time when it's the hardest, or one of the hardest times, and this deals with this, but in a very sweet, very caring, occasionally comedic way. I don't know. It is meant to be funny, but they don't make fun. Well, I was going to say they don't make fun of Charlie Brown. Actually, the characters do make fun of Charlie Brown, but in a way that's really effective. And ultimately, across the 25 minutes, it develops very well, and the narrative is very pleasing. Charlie Brown is depressed and is unable to experience the joy that everybody feels around him. There's this beautiful scene where the children are all sticking their tongues out and eating snowflakes. A fantastic line from one of the children about how she doesn't eat December snowflakes, she only eats January snowflakes. Never quite sure why. But there's a lot of other children in this who are kind of not really sure about Charlie Brown. They don't really know why he's so depressed and a bit different. But ultimately, it's Charlie's chance to try and find a deeper meaning for Christmas, and to try and find a way of looking at it differently, to try and lift his own spirits. And I think it's a very sweet story. It's exceptionally well animated. It's a very cute animation style, of course. It's very, very iconic. I should point out as well, I have seen some Peanuts animations. I've seen bits of Charlie Brown here and there, but I just haven't specifically ever seen this one. I'm not, the biggest fan of Peanuts in general, but I have nothing against it. I don't dislike it. I've just never devoted the time to it. But A Charlie Brown Christmas is very instantly a firm favourite. It's adorable. It's moving. It speaks to me more than I could have imagined. I think it's very, very beautiful. And I completely see why it's popular. One of my favourite scenes is the lemonade stand psychiatrist. I thought that was very amusing, very entertaining, and devastatingly very realistic when the child decides to shut shop when Charlie Brown becomes just too complicated to deal with. Very, very accurate representation of the mental health system, at least in the UK. But I did absolutely adore it. I found it very moving. I'm speaking as if nobody's seen it, and I'm trying to convince you to see it. I'm aware that most people have seen it, and I'm glad most people have seen it, because it's beautiful. If you haven't seen it though, check it out. I promise you will absolutely adore it. It lives up to the hype, and if you can relate to Charlie Brown, I think it will live up to the hype even more for you. It's so moving and so important, and I can completely understand why it's so beautiful. It's directed by Bill Mandlas, written by Charles M. Schulz, or at least based on the comic strip of Peanuts. And of course, Snoopy features, and Charlie Brown is voiced by Peter Robbins. Absolutely adorable. Doesn't feel like it was made in 1965. It feels so much more contemporary with how aware it is and how honest it is. And the fact that it's a child who's experiencing these emotions just makes it all the more moving. I absolutely adored it.